Don't look under the bed. There might be a body. Um, I normally have my hair up and I don't have glasses, but I realized with this look, my God, I resemble Andy Dick's stunt person. Um, not the ultimate look. I'm very excited. Look, man, it's funny. We were talking about living in LA. I do live in Beverly Hills adjacent. They just changed the name of my neighborhood. I swear to God, it's Beverly Hills adjacent, and I'm so excited because that sounds so much better than behind the Jack in the Box. If you had your choice, I did take my wife to a restaurant recently in Beverly Hills. I got to experience the 90210, not the zip code. That was the bill. Look out! Very expensive. A lot of artificial surgery in Beverly Hills. That's no exaggeration. My waitress was very sweet, but my God, her face had more plastic than Dexter's Kill Room. We had a great time though. It's funny, people ask me about LA. I'll work with different comedians and they'll say, well, do you like it? I go, yeah, I'm very entertained by LA. I love the fact that everybody out here is in show business and everybody's full of shit. It's a beautiful combination. LA is the only city in the world where people claim they're going to meet two producers and they're really just having lunch with their parents. Got a role, bro. Going to meet these producers. Oh, really? What have they produced? Me. What's the name of the sequel? My brother. Great. I do have some good news. Mike, I didn't tell you about this. I will announce to the world now. Ladies and gentlemen, as of last Thursday, I sold a TV show. Folks. I did. Thank you so much. Thank you. We made some history with this. It's a comedy reality show on the Food Network, and it is the first reality show in history hosted by two gay cooks. Yes, it's called Top and Bottom Chef. Here's the deal, though. This is true. I'm kind of on duty right now. My son is out there. My son's 11. This is a little different. Not a lot of people do this these days, but my wife homeschools my kid. And some people really hate hearing that, but I just call those people my parents. They don't get it. Simple explanation. We had to homeschool during the pandemic. He became obsessed with reading, and then he jumped ahead 3 grades, like in everything. Wow. So the other schools out here couldn't keep up with him, and I can't afford a insane private school. So the education specialist said, do this, just make sure he's in the program where he's around other kids as well. So that's what we're doing. A couple of days a week, he's around that. Then he's got Zoom, and he's here with mom. Anyway, the point is, anytime somebody judges me for homeschooling my kid, I'm like, excuse me? He is number 1 in his class. What number's your dumbass getting? But it's interesting, though. I will tell you, there's definite advantages of homeschool. I don't really have tuition. I have no traffic. I have no drop-off. And I told my father that. He goes, yeah, when he graduates, he'll have no job. I was like, Dad, you're 78 years old. When he graduates, he'll have no grandpa. Don't take his side. My father started it. I will say this, though. I'll be honest. It's working out really well. But because he's homeschooled, there's certain things he just can't do. That's why I feel bad for him. There's certain things he can't do as a homeschooler, like be late. Yeah, his roll call is real quick. My wife's sitting there going, Stuart, honey, stop hiding behind the table. I can see you. But I will, in all honesty, my wife homeschooling my child, it's a dream come true. I mean, I have no drop off. I spend more time with him, and I get to bang his teacher. Don't get nervous, Mike. I'm married to him. It's okay. Okay. I can feel Mike cringing. I had to have the birds and the bees talk with him, and I didn't want to, but you got to. You got to reach a certain point because I realized if I didn't have the birds and bees talk with him, who's going to? His friends. And they'll get it wrong, man. And it happened to me, to be honest with you, man. I was 8 years old. I'll never forget this. I knew nothing about, nature. And my best friend, when I was 18 years old, he goes, "Hey, man, you know how babies are made, right?" I go, "No." He's like, "Your dad pees in your mom." I know. And I'm 8. I don't know anything. I believed it, Cut to the following week, my father takes me to a ball game. And I don't know if ladies watching this, if you're aware of this, but at the ball games, the restrooms for the men are set up. There's no individual stall. There's just a giant urinal trough, right? And by the way, that is really rude. That's a lot of pressure to call it a trough. You're a growing boy, and you got to compare yourself to a horse. It's not fair. They're not setting you up for success. So I remember the whole trough was empty except the end of it. There was one guy, and he's standing there. And my father goes, "All right, son, go. Just go pee." And I go, "No." "Son, go pee." The game starts. Like, "No, I can't." He's like, "Why not?" I'm like, "Because I don't want that man to get me pregnant." So that's why I had to have the talk with him, which we finally did. I showed my son my favorite movie ever as a kid, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love that movie, specifically the truck scene where he's hanging out with a bullwhip. That entire truck scene, it made me want to be a stuntman. Like, I absolutely love that. My wife really was holding off. She didn't want me to show it to him because you guys remember the very end of the original when they open the Ark and then the evil spirit come out and melt the Nazis' faces off, right? Okay. So she's like, "It's too scary. It traumatized me as a kid." I was like, "Look, it's my favorite movie as a kid. He's going to be fine, right?" So I prepped him. I go, "Buddy, at the end, there's a scary movie, but look, it's a scene. It's just a movie. I'm here with you. Nothing's going to happen to you, okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, cool." We watch the movie, and then I pause it. I go, "You okay, buddy?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." So now I'm worried he's a sociopath. He wasn't bothered at all, but then it hit me, maybe that reaction's okay. Like, at least he didn't like the scene too much, Like, I'd rather have his reaction than like, "Yeah, Dad, that was great. Can we rewind that? Can you pause it? Slow motion? Hey, Dad, can you turn on the stove and just stand next to it? Why? I want to see the look at your face when I shove you into the flames." Like, red rum, Jeremy spoken clear. Thank you, Matt, Mike. I'm glad you're of age. I did that to Generation Z. They're like, "Oh my God, who's Jeremy?" They don't get it. Yeah, man. By the way, I like to think that I'm very a good customer for customer service reps, but I realize I am a middle-aged white guy now because when I do get mad at customer service, I say the exact same word that any pissed off middle-aged white man says. Unacceptable. This entire operation is unacceptable, right? That's how I know. And by the way, here's an observation. Nobody in customer service says thank you anymore. Have you noticed this? The words "thank you" have now been replaced with "of course." Right? Nobody ever said that. It was like, oh, sorry, I meant "you're welcome." It's "you're welcome." Nobody says "you're welcome." So, you'll say like, "Oh, thank you very much." Of course. Now, to me, what's weird about that is the words "of course" responding to "thank you" sound extremely defensive. Right? Like, of course, that's my job. Why wouldn't I? I'm a good person. I pay my taxes. I got vaccinated. I did not kill my cousin. What? So it's a little defensive. That's my other thing. Yes, I think I've gone over everything. I'll just say this real quick. You have to watch what you say in front of your child because my God, it comes back. I will never forget this. My son was super young. My wife's on the phone and she says BS. My kid runs out to me, "Daddy, what's BS?" Like, BS is a grown-up term people say when somebody's lying. "Oh, well, what does BS stand for?" I had to think quick. I was like, BS stands for, "but seriously?" Like, I thought that was a quick, cute recovery. I felt good. And then he looks at me and goes, "Daddy, that's bullshit." My little dude is smart. That's it for me. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Claude
it, guys.
Stewart, everybody. One more time for the one and only Claude Stewart. Claude, where can people see you perform? I know you guys are in production right now, but are you touring at all?
Yeah, we're doing it via Zoom. We're shooting every other Tuesday, so I'm still bouncing around the country and other places. The easiest thing for you to like follow me, just go to social media. Check me out on Instagram. I'm at Claude Stewart 4. It's ClaudeStuart 4, and find me all over Facebook, TikTok. It's just Claude Stewart. And I'm always posting my dates. So also have some specials out too. I'm running a thing right now. If you DM me, I will send you 3 specials for the price of 1. I'll do my R-rated, my G-rated, and my PG-13. And then I have a new open bar special that's coming out next month. So
wow,
nice.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack right there. Just on the plugs alone. Matt, any thoughts on Claude?
I want to know, Claude, if your kid has ever accidentally called his teacher mum, because that's
you know what? She used to live in Wales. She went to college in Wales, and she loves the UK. She would love to hear him say "mum." Mommy, not so much, but mom, she would be flattered.
Oh my gosh, that does mean, Claude. One of the things that you were saying that was making me laugh was the whole unacceptable thing. Because I am like, I'm just thinking about that. Like, Matt, do you ever start feeling like you start saying things, you realize you're like, I've aged out. I've aged out of like young age, and I've now aged into like the other generation.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, those things hit me. I think doing stand-up as well, when you're playing to audiences, that hits you where you suddenly realize how I remember aging out of being I thought I was still like college age, and then just realizing that I wasn't, like because I started stand-up as a student, and so like I thought, oh, yeah, these are still my people. And then I was about 24 and I did Reading University in the UK, and I had a beer on stage, because in the UK they drink in the student unions because the drinking age is 18. So like there's drinks everywhere. So I brought a beer on stage with me, which is not unusual. And then some guy in the front row just went like down it, and a few other guys joined in. And I just remember going like, no, I'm a grown up. I bought this beer to drink it. And it's just, that's the point where I realized like, oh, I'm not them. I thought I was still basically their generation, but I'm not. I'm not this. And then there's all these reminders. There's all these like behaviors that just like. Also, I looked really young. I always looked really young. So when I was 18, I looked like 14, 15. And I just remember somewhere around like my late 20s was the point at which I realized that stranger women, like suddenly perceived me as potentially a threat, and that was weird. that was a novel experience, because it was like suddenly like I had to recalibrate my behavior, because when I was like 20, and most guys, if they have sense about them, would realize like, oh yeah, if you're walking alone at night and there's another woman like that or whatever, they might cross the street, and that's just because you're a strange man, and you know that your intentions are not bad, but they don't know that, and that's completely reasonable. But I had to learn that later in life, because they didn't perceive me that way until I was well into my 20s.
They're like, why is this middle schooler?
Like,
oh,
there's a kid. There's a 14-year-old boy on this bus with me. He's fine. What's he gonna do? Say something rude? Lick something at me? Like, I don't.
They're like more.
Welcome to people think I'm creepy, so I've matured now.
Yeah, it was like, I must look older now, because women can perceive me as potentially a creep. I've aged into creep.
It is crazy. I always try to be very respectful. Like, if I'm walking at night, there's a woman, jogging or walking toward me. And I read this thing that said an assailant, like someone who's an attacker of anyone, they don't want you to look them in the eyes, and apparently they never look you in the eyes because they don't want to be identified, right? So I was like, oh great, I'm just gonna look people like, hello, how are you? But then that's creepy.
Oh, that's super creepy.
Yeah.
It is hard to. Yeah, it's hard to sort of if I'm walking the same way as
Rishi, can you hear me, dude?
Yes, I can.
Oh, look at that. Fantastic. Fantastic. I am just going to fix this screen right over here and adjust that. So there we go. Fantastic. Look at that. Can you hear the landscapers outside? Because that's always the best part of doing
have
any sort of
garbage trucks.
podcast. It's
I have
fantastic.
garbage trucks outside of me, so I'm
That's
hearing those.
oh, that's
I don't know if you
wonderful.
can see on my side. Have loud garbage trucks.
It's that's always good. All right, dude. How you doing on time? We should
Good, good.
You're good. All right, cool. All right, we'll just get this going. Here we go. So Sarah had to bow out. Unfortunately, her meetings were running long, so it's just going to be me and you. And it looks
All
like
right.
yeah, it looks like you're in a quality location right here with quality sound, nice and quiet.
So I mean, I'm just on my cell phone. I tried going on the computer. I don't know what it is. I'm always reinstalling Zoom. What is that scam?
I don't know.
I use it all the time. They're like, you gotta install Zoom. I was like, I already have it.
I
You
mean-
gotta reinstall it. Like, okay, reinstalled. 19 minutes remaining. I was like, what is this shit? So I just went on my phone. I prefer not to do this on my phone.
I mean,
but
if you want to take a second, and go to your phone.
Nah.
All
Because
right.
who knows how long? I was already on there for like 10 minutes trying to do it. So
All right, here we go. Let's get this going. Welcome back to Comedy in English, everybody's favorite international comedy show / podcast. I am Michael Magid. I will be your host this lovely afternoon. As I was mentioning earlier, there is a 0.0000003% chance of rain, which means that everyone in Los Angeles is hunkered down inside right now, and hunkered down right now inside with me, the one and only Rishi Arya, joining us from an
What
undisclosed
is up?
location. What's going on, dude?
I'm pretty good. You?
Oh, not too bad, man. Not too bad. It's funny, man, because I was in class last night, and
Yeah.
by the way, for those of you guys outside of Los Angeles, when anyone in Los Angeles refers to being in class, they're not studying anything academic. That means that they were in acting class.
There's no, you weren't in astrophysics class.
No, I was in acting class, and I came outside, and like I saw all this wet stuff on my car, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
It rained. Yeah.
It rained. And like
Yeah.
the reaction from everyone coming out of class and looking at their cars, you might as well have just thought that like a bird had just dropped a huge nest all over it, dude, because people were
They
like
felt
freaking
violated.
out. Because in
Yeah.
Los Angeles, for those of you guys who don't live here that don't understand, when it's going to rain, it's like an event and we have to plan for it. And these unexpected thunderstorms, that's a new thing for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a meteor shower.
It really is. I thought it was a 3i Atlas situation going on.
But it was a bit out of the blue that it rained because it didn't look like it was going to rain. It just kind of rained, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
Usually
Like
what
that's more like you know, like whereabouts are you originally from actually?
Montreal, Canada.
Okay, Montreal, Canada. Okay. I'm assuming that in Montreal you have this thing called weather. And
Oh, big time. Too much weather.
and when
Way
it
too much.
and so you're used to this. You're used to this. And I'm guessing in the summertime you have this thing called humidity, which means that there's
Awful.
thunderstorms.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
So here, like we prepare for rain, we prepare for hot days, like, but we don't deal with like it's going to be hot and raining in the same day. Like we don't know how to dress for that even here.
Yeah.
You know, so let's talk about a little bit about that. You know, one of the fun things about this show is we want to kind of chat about, you know, doing international comedy and, you know, being from overseas and coming to the United States and doing shows. So why don't you give people kind of like a little bit of a taste of, first off, how you ended up in the United States doing stand up and kind of how that journey's been for you.
Well, I was living in Canada, Montreal. I wasn't really doing comedy there. I was doing like music. I was getting into acting, and I just wanted to get out of there because, you know, Canada mostly sucks. It's not like it's a great place for boring shit. Like, you know, if you want to raise a family and have a corporate job, it's safe. You know, there's not as many mass shootings. I mean, there are, but it's kind of like you know, but it's like it's one of those places. Even if you're in the big cities like Toronto or Montreal, it's like once it hits 6:30 p.m., you feel everything get darker and it's time to go to bed, you know. And it's not if you're trying to be an artist or make a living off of what you do, it's not. There's only so many spots. There's only 30 million people. The population of the whole country of Canada is like the population of California. There's only so much you're gonna get out of there. Some people make it work, sure, but I wanted to leave, so I went to I auditioned for these acting schools in New York. This is after I already graduated. I studied accounting in Canada, and I was
Wait, hold
working.
on. You studied accounting in the transition was from like the most like left-brained type activity whatsoever to the most right-brained activity.
I was just kind of here's the one good thing about Canada.
Yeah.
Or Quebec specifically, it's very cheap to go to college, and the colleges are very good. So you can go to college and do something you don't even like just to have a degree, and you can get a job. I would never suggest that to somebody here, to go into debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars to study something you don't like, but you could do that there.
Dude, that's amazing. It's almost like just like taking online courses here. You're like, I'll try architecture. Sure, why not?
Yeah. But it is actually like good universities, good school. It is up to that standard of anything else. And I was studying it just because I go, well, if I'm going to school, I got to study something. But even at that time, I was still doing music. I was still doing I was with the sketch comedy group. I was still doing everything. And then after working for a couple of years, I graduated in 2008, which was not a good time to be working in anything. Everything was kind of like hitting a recession with all the big companies tanking. So I never had like a good job. I worked as a copywriter at some web development company. It was just me and 3 Hasidic Jews. And then I worked in like market research, and a place so far from my place. I never got an actual job in accounting because there was just nothing available. And that's it. After 2 years of that, I was like, screw it. I went and I auditioned for a bunch of theater schools in New York. I got into one. I auditioned for one in Toronto too, but I just wanted to get out of Canada. That was kind of like tantamount for me. I was like, I just got to get out of here.
It's funny that you're saying that right here, because the majority of the United States, all they do is go online and complain that they want to go to Canada. So
and
you're literally doing like the polar opposite. You're like a scared straight program.
Yeah. A lot of people, especially it's because Canada is it's a liberal's wet dream of a foreign country. They all speak English there, and they have like the universal health care, but it's not really. It's like, well, first of all, I can't speak on it because one thing about Canada is every province is very different from each other, which has its pros and cons. Like here, I can get a job in North Carolina and go work. If I'm from Montreal, I can't get a job. I can't just go work in Ottawa. I got to pay taxes there first. It's like a lot of paperwork,
Yeah.
And and like where I'm from, the healthcare in Quebec is like the worst. People are dying in the waiting rooms. You never get seen. My sister, she was having like a cancer scare. She couldn't even get in for like God knows how long. My mother had to get knee replacement surgery. She was on the waiting list for so long. I'm talking like more than a year and a half. She was on the waiting list for so long that keeping the weight off of that knee caused her to need surgery on her other knee.
Oh my God.
So she had to get 2 because that's how long the wait is. And then in the end, we tried bribing a doctor to get her up. So that's how bad it is. So it's like, I don't know. Is that better than here? No.
Bribing a doctor, it literally sounds like one of those bad like vertical shorts that you see like on TikTok.
Yeah.
Those soap operas.
Out of desperation. Now, that was Quebec. I don't know if it's the same as Ontario or I'm sure some province like Alberta has more money, so maybe their healthcare was better. And also the taxes are so much higher. You are paying for it, Here it's like, yeah, you might go bankrupt. You might get hit by a truck and go bankrupt, but at least you'll get fixed. And you can get certain things. Like you can never I was able to get a therapist here. I was able I would never, it would be I don't even know how I would get that. And for me to get a therapist in Quebec, I would have to like try to take my own life. Like, all right, fine, we'll give you a therapist,
Wow, this is enlightening. I'm not gonna lie, Rishi. Like, and it also kind of like shares kind of like, you know, your POV and your perspective of like, you know, coming to the United States and like doing comedy here with like that point of view of that experience. Like, you know, I think a lot of times when it comes to like the United States and Canada, especially people from overseas, think it's the same perspective and it's the same type of people. And as you're saying, there's a big difference between French Canada, you know, and English speaking Canada.
And I mean, I'll say this about the States, and I kind of saw this in COVID. United States, when things are good, it's the best country in the world. When things are bad, it's probably the worst. You can be homeless. Here's the one thing about Canada: you're never, unless you're addicted to fentanyl, you're never really going to be homeless. There's things in place to make sure that doesn't happen to you. You know what I mean? So so it's like it's more extreme here, but that's just kind of how it was built and founded. And I don't know, I just kind of was more attracted to that. And just as a, you know, as an artist trying to be an actor, or even when I was doing music and doing stand-up, it's just like there's just more that you can do. Ironically, actually, you know, looking back now, you could actually make a very good living, not a very good living, but you could, it's easier in Canada as a comedian because there are certain things in place that support that, like from the government and from, you know, festivals. Like I just know Canadian comics that never left Canada, that if they moved here, they wouldn't have anything resembling a career. But they could.
Well, I know. I've met a lot of these people. I've met people who've come over here from Canada and they had a little bit of a following in Canada and they were working performers in Canada and TV writers in Canada and TV actors in Canada. And they came here and they can't get anything. So they go back. They go back.
Yeah, because in Canada, I don't know exactly how it is. I do comedy there when I go back, but I didn't start there. I'm not in that system. But I met a bunch of comics when I was in New York and I was starting out. I told them I was in Canada and they were like, "Oh yeah, a bunch of us are moving there," because they're just seeing like, especially if you're good, like if you're an American comic from New York or LA, you'll probably be one of the best in Canada just because of the amount of reps you have and the amount of pressure you've went through, and you know what I mean, just by default, if you've done it long enough. So some of them move there and they kind of get a little piece of that. They go, okay, I can make kind of a lower middle class living here, but only doing comedy. You know, like it's not bad, you know.
Yeah.
So
you know, and I think it's, you know, it's kind of a give and take type of a thing. It's like, you know, the ceiling here is higher, but the floor is lower. If that makes,
and more people, way more. The majority of people are at the floor. And you know, and that ceiling in 2025 doesn't even look like it exists anymore. I mean, it's just for the robots now.
It's unbelievable because the thing is that like, you know, I've had this conversation with somebody recently, and I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this are creatives too, and they'll get this, but you know, the market is so saturated with content out there. You know, content out there as I start this show and put out more content. But it's not like it used to be. Like in the early 2010s, I had a sketch group and we got reasonably popular on YouTube. That would literally be impossible today. The only drawback is we got really, really popular, but they didn't monetize anything back then. So it's like millions of views, but it meant nothing. It meant like, cool, my parents are proud of me that people like this. But it didn't, you know, I mean, it opened some doors. We got some meetings and things like that. My favorite meeting that I ever got, I'm not going to name the network, but we got a meeting at this network and we're there and we're pitching this idea for a show based on our sketch group. And afterwards they're like, "Hey, that's awesome, man. You know what's really hot right now is Snapchat.
Yeah.
Would you guys be willing to do some Snapchat content for us?" And we're like, of course we were like, "You mean like the place where porn stars show their vagina?" Like, okay, like, because that's what it was at the time. That's literally what Snapchat was at the time, for the most part. But you know, the industry, they get excited about one thing and then they try to grab onto it, but they're always a little bit late to when it's cool.
Yes. Yeah.
So by the time that they created all their Snapchat content, this network, when we pitched them and we were like, here's some ideas for our Snapchat content, and they come up to us, they're like, Yeah, it doesn't seem like Snapchat is resonating, unfortunately. And I'm like, you literally just told us that like 2 weeks ago. Like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When you launched your Snapchat channel. And like after 2 weeks, you guys are like, oh, maybe this isn't the right medium for like an established legacy network. So
Yeah.
you know, and that's the problem that we're having with streaming right now is that, you know, talking about content and everything like that as artists is that they're always late to the table. And then they go, oh, they're not making any of these shows anymore. It's like, why? It's like, well, we made a bunch of these shows and then people weren't really into them. And so now we're not making as many. I don't know.
Hey,
I'm
it's
just
not even
going
that
on a
people
soapbox.
weren't into them. They were just like the streaming thing. Okay, like when it was like Netflix, it was fine. But then everybody got in on that, and it was like a solution in search of a problem. It's like you guys already have. So like now you guys moved everybody from broadcast to streaming, and they're all just watching Netflix. They're not watching MGM Plus.
Yeah.
Or Paramount. They're not watching these things.
Or the irony is like I watch all these streaming platforms through my Amazon Prime account because they're all like subsidiaries of the Amazon Prime account now. So it's like, oh, I watch AMC, it's on Hulu. Like I watch Paramount, it's on Amazon Prime. So like there's really only a few. And then
I've seen shows like they brought back Frasier, and on Paramount Plus. Did 2 seasons, got canceled. I go, Frasier was a big show. If you put it on NBC on TV, that was the audience is like boomers, Gen X, older millennials. They would have watched it.
Yeah.
You like nobody's buying Paramount. They're just not doing it for one show.
But that's the thing. Like if Matlock was on Hulu, like I don't know if people be watching it type of thing, but like the 72-year-olds are watching Matlock who still have CBS, and
they're gonna live another 15 years,
And that's another thing too, in regards to like, we obviously we've kind of diverged on a little tangent here from international comedy, but I think just diverse audiences is like it's one of those things where like as a performer, as a creative, you have to recognize that there's not just one demographic out there, and people have to be catered to different demographics, and you kind of have to find what your niche is, and I think that's tough for a lot of creatives, whether it's a comedian or a content creator or a podcaster or anything like that, is to be like, I resonate with this crowd. I'm going to double down on this crowd because we all want to make everyone like us.
Yeah, but everything is paradox, because now with comedy especially, there's a few paradoxes with stand-up now. Stand-up is like junk mail on your phone, right? It's you've never been seeing more stand-up involuntarily in your life that everybody's seeing, and it's like you've devalued. It kind of just has no value anymore when it's there that much. But here's the thing: stand-up has never been more consumed than it is now. But if you go to the clubs around here, every club besides the Comedy Store, business is down. People aren't really going out to see it. They're just getting inundated with it on their phone. And people who don't even like people got famous for something else. Well, now they're doing stand-up. Now everybody's doing, like, porn stars are doing stand-up. Some guy who makes a video of how to change your ringtone on an iPhone, he's doing stand-up because he has an audience. So it's like, it doesn't mean anything anymore, but it's consumed more than ever. And I think, and it's also the same thing, like, when I first started, if I would go back to Montreal and do stand-up, go back to New York and do stand-up, or go to Boston or go to Florida, the stand-up was different. Everybody was, now everyone's watching the same thing and they're trying to be the thing that is successful on their phone. So now everywhere I go, it's like I'm watching the same guy do stand-up. There's no, it's like it's making everything more homogenous.
And it's interesting that you said that, Rishi, because the thing is that like the medium is not set up for stand-up comedy. Like social media was not created for long-form stand-up comedy. It was created for short-form content. So I remember I would spend, hours cutting clips and editing clips to put up of stand-up, and the algorithm could give a fuck about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but if I put up a clip of me like teaching you how to get lead out of your hand.
Oh yeah.
Like
It'll
so much
people.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it is like, is it what is good, or is it what that thinks the public wants? And I think that's the thing. It's like, I don't know, man, it's a slippery slope, but it's also the same thing as like when you're talking about like performing to international crowds and people that don't have context for what you're doing. Social media is very much the Wild West of, to use an analogy, comedy in English at the Hostel. You've got somebody from Kazakhstan, and you've got somebody from
China.
Sudan, and you've got somebody from Norway, all in the same room together with completely different experiences, life experiences. And you have to find a way to connect with all those people. That's what social media is.
Their relationship to comedy is also going to be different. Like, I did a show, the whole crowd was just like Asian. Like, I don't know, they were all. It was a show for we won a Zhao Ying show. She's from China, so she has a big Chinese audience. Dude, they weren't laughing at anything like the whole show. And then after the show, they were like, "We loved it so much." And it's like, what?
Yep.
So they just don't really they don't have the thing. Whereas if you do a show for a bunch of Mexicans, they'll be laughing the whole time. It's like, it's people's relationship to comedy. Like, not like stand up is kind of, it's an American thing in that regard. It's kind of like, hey, we're getting people to laugh together. It's a bit of a cultural thing, you know. When you're transporting it to other cultures, they're not necessarily going to behave or cooperate in the way that, you know, it was come up with. You know, it's like, yeah, we'll just watch and just be quiet. It's kind of like pro wrestling. Like, I remember wrestlers used to talk about, they would go to China, or not China, they would go to Japan, and they would wrestle. The crowd was just silent the whole time, and sometimes they would clap. You know, they wouldn't cheer or boo or anything like that. You know, it's just different cultural norms.
It's funny that you brought that up, because recently I was talking to somebody, and they were talking about Finland, right? And they're from Finland.
Yeah.
And they were saying that it's actually considered rude to attempt small talk in Finland. And what the fuck is crowd work other than small talk?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So,
superficial.
So if you are trying to engage with a crowd of people from Finland in the crowd, hey man, so what brought you here? Get on with the, like, in their mind, like, get on with the jokes. Like, you know, like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you talking to me? So you have to, I almost feel like it's important. Is like, and this is like an old road trick that a lot of like road dogs have always talked about, is like, you need to understand the city or the region that you're going to, what makes them tick, how they respond, and then don't pander to them, but be educated about them so that you understand how to work that crowd in a way that they're going to have a good time and you're going to have a good time, because ultimately that is what it matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I think that a lot of comedians lose that, and they get their bravado, their ego gets in the way, and they go, why aren't you laughing at this? This is my A shit. And they're like, well, I think it's funny, or whatever.
A lot of the times they don't a lot of the comedy in LA, a lot of the comedy that does well in LA is not going to do well in Fresno, let alone in, Tokyo. It's like, it's so like its own thing, you know? So, I mean, whenever I would do, like, you know, the show, you know, at the Hostel here, even the one I do that also in New York, a lot of times the easiest way to relate to people is talking about when I travel to their countries, or when I, or like travel in general, or, you know, things, citizenship, or being a non-American in America. Like, I try to relate to people in that way, even if I don't know anything about their country. They'll at least identify with me on that. But I'm not going to do a thing like, oh, well, you know, I texted this Uber and it brought me to Silver Lake. They're not going to get it. They're not going to know or care, you know?
You know, this is something I've brought up on this podcast, you know, several times with different comics, but we've always talked about it's that same thing where it's like, you don't know what you don't know. So you need to make sure that you convey information in a way that's understandable for that audience. So if like they are not familiar with Silver Lake, you need to break down preface it and go, Silver Lake is is kind of like your blah blah blah, or or Berlin. Just or give a, you know, or give kind of a breakdown of what type of a neighborhood it is, you know, don't just give, and I think that's the laziness of a lot of American comedians, and especially comedians from large markets such as Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, is that we assume these references are universal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also think it's really, really a bad idea to go, do you guys know what blah, blah, blah? Because then it makes the audience feel like,
Yeah.
And that's something that I've seen is kind of a death warrant at a show like HI Santa Monica, or in New York, at the hostel there or whatever. Is it like, do you guys know what Walmarts are? Like, because then the audience gets uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Also,
you're
just trying to get them to think of something that's not really relevant to exactly. And like, if your jokes are reference, this is something that an older headliner taught me years and years and years back. He said, if your jokes only work because of the reference, then it's just not a strong enough joke.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's not relatable enough if it only works with the reference. It's the same thing as like, to use an acting term, like if it's all conceptual, then there's not going to be any emotional truth to it whatsoever. Like you have to be directly connected. There has to be something that's universally, viscerally connected with that audience, more so than just a funny word. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of great one-liner comics out there, so I'm not trying to disrespect that, but a lot of one-liner comedy doesn't work in an international setting, I find.
Yeah. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. Well, because also a lot of one-liner comedy, it could be very deadpan. So it's like, they'll be like, they don't even know that you're telling, they're kind of waiting for the joke to come. Like, that's kind of an American or a British, it's a very Western thing, that the deadpan sarcasm. Because it's like, deadpan is kind of like sarcasm without acting like it's sarcasm, I guess, So they just won't translate.
What are some of your favorite countries to perform in?
I've only performed in the U.S. and Canada. I've never done stand-up in Europe or anything like that.
Okay. If you did have that opportunity, where are the places that you feel like it would either be challenging for you, or that you really aspire to perform in because you feel like there'd be some sort of gratification from doing it?
Well, I did music in other countries. Like I did when I was touring. Like I toured around like Germany and Holland and stuff like that. And the audiences were more impressed because I guess they didn't really get many English speaking, people coming there and performing for them. But I don't know if that translates to stand up. And I don't know if it's the same thing in 2025 as it was in 2007 or whatever it was. But I would go to those. I feel like, I don't know. I can't say it with any conviction because I haven't done it. But I assume because of the internet, because of social media, because of TV and all this, I feel like you could just kind of go all over Europe and more or less do your act and be yourself, and they might like it more. That was my experience with music. They liked it more.
It's interesting that you said that, because I had this conversation, I think it might have been like a year ago or so, with a comedian who's actually one of the hotter up and coming comedians here in the United States now, but they had, and because they were getting a little bit of heat, they were able to start traveling overseas, and they performed in South Asia. And they said to me that what we don't recognize sometimes as North American performers is that stand-up comedy is at different places in different parts of the world in regards to in regards to how long it's been an art form. And by art form, I mean is that they've always had comedy, but our definition of stand-up comedy in the United States or Canada, or the UK, wasn't what stand-up comedy was, in India, let's say, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or whatever. So where they are right now in their development is a very different place. So he went over there and he recognized it was like doing like stand-up comedy in the 1980s in the United States.
Wow. Yeah.
And also a lot of these comedians, now this was a few years back, so it was maybe, prior to the pandemic. So, things might have changed now in regards to his experience, but like, so because they were being basically, their idea of stand-up comedy was conceptual based on what they had seen on television and film, and pop culture and all of that. And they were basing their generation of stand-up comedy kind of like, I don't want to say as covers, but yeah, I mean,
Right.
but that was kind of like their baseline, their inspiration for their stand-up comedy scene,
Right.
you know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, so what would you do then? What jokes? Because I think as we're just a product of our times. Like I don't even know what jokes I would do of mine. I guess you would take your simplest or like your earliest jokes and
Well,
do those.
what he was saying is that what we would consider hack
Mm-hmm.
was actually, fresh to them because they had
Yeah.
never experienced it before. So I'm
Yeah.
watching this going like, oh, this is terrible. But in reality,
Yeah.
is it terrible or is it I've just seen it before? It's all subjective.
Well, it's also kind of like, I guess, so like if you went there and did comedy like how Louis C.K. does it, even though
Yeah.
he's like a genius, they would probably just feel like, well, this guy's just talking.
Yeah.
He's not doing like a,
Yeah.
he's not doing a.
And and that's an interesting thing that you say, that we talk about different cultures and everything like that. I mean, there are types of comedy that resonate more with different groups of people. I've found that in, South America, physicality is very, very, very big.
Oh yeah, the French are like that too.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. It's like the
The
expression.
French do, like in Quebec, a lot of the French comics are kind of like, if they have a 5 minute set, that 5 minute set is just kind of like one long joke story with a bunch of like kind of movement and voices and act outs,
It's funny that you said that because I saw a big French comic this past year, and I went with my girlfriend, and like they were the opener, and I was like, oh, this is awful. Like this is awful. But it's just because it's not my cup of tea. But like,
Yeah.
it's funny that you said that because a shorter set, it's almost like they came out guns blazing, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's too much, dude. What are you doing?
To squeeze it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of use their voice a little bit
It was
in a funny
all
way.
voices and physical mannerisms and weird slapsticky stuff, and I was like, it
Yeah.
felt forced to me, but but that's the shtick.
Well, Americans kind of like, we like comedy where it's like you don't even think you don't even know the person's doing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of want to be seduced into the comedy.
Yeah.
You don't want to see somebody actually doing. It's weird. Like some people get like Jeselnik makes it his whole persona. I'm here reciting my writing.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
But for the most part, you kind of want to be. You want it to be. I mean, that's why podcasts took off. It's just you kind of want to be. I don't know. You don't want to be seen making that effort. I can't put my finger on it, but it's like almost like you don't even know comedy is happening.
Well,
You just want to be loud.
And things change from generation to generation too. Like I'll use like acting as an analogy. Like I was doing a scene a few months back in my acting class from an old piece from the 40s, and
Yeah.
the way it's written and then the way it's delivered, you're like, this is so artificial. This does not seem grounded, but that was the
Like
style
presentational type of thing.
that
Like kind
was
of
the
like,
style of the time.
oh my god,
That was the
Yeah,
style.
yeah.
That was the style of the time. So it could be 20 years from now. People are going to watch what we're doing and be like, "Well, what is that? That's terrible."
Yeah.
I want to talk about this though because you talk about the French, the differences with the French thing. As an English speaking comedian, what are kind of your advice when you're performing in a French language area? Because I know that is something that's common with Americans, and they try to go to JFL and or try to tour Canada, and they just assume it's going to be like playing in Toronto or Vancouver, and it's not.
Right. I mean, no, it kind of, even though Montreal, I mean, we're talking about performing in French. I don't really do that, but even when I go back there, what kind of the scene is like there? It's a bit like doing the hipster rooms here. Not necessarily that type of cadence, like where they kind of talk monotonous like that. Not necessarily like that.
Yeah.
But the content, they do enjoy that political, whatever, reference, liberal. I mean, you can do personal jokes, not like that too, but that is the sensibility that like we kind of see those rooms as like a kind of like, oh well, you guys are doing that. It's like, yeah, but other countries are way more liberal than the US, so their baseline kind of is that. So if you were to kind of do something even mildly almost like kind of a right-wing comment, even if it's a joke, like it's not sincere, they might tighten up, a little bit. Kind of like that's kind of what I've seen,
It's funny you brought that up because when I talk about politics and you talk about anything socio-political, when you're playing to different people, everybody has a different POV of what that refers to. I was talking to a Western European person not long ago, and they said what you all consider liberal a lot of the times would be considered conservative over in my country, and what you consider conservative, so it's like the different it's the the topics don't necessarily parallel each other. A lot of the times certain things are considered right wing over there but are considered left wing here, but over there they're considered left wing and over here they're right wing. It's like, so it doesn't translate completely.
Yeah, definitely. They might not get it. I don't know. There's just more of a collective, like, I don't know. In America, this is why I like it here. I like performing here. It's a bigger diversity of, like, Canadians are more similar. Like a Canadian in Toronto and a Canadian in Vancouver. Yeah, there's differences, lifestyle differences, but they're kind of like, they're kind of the same. You do it, or even in Edmonton, even though Edmonton's a bit more conservative, you can kind of do the same set. Whereas here, you go from Mississippi to San Francisco, it's like a world of difference.
Oh yeah,
dude,
you go from Los Angeles to Irvine. There's a world of difference, and that's an hour drive.
Yeah, no, forget about that. You go from Hollywood to North Corona. It's a huge difference. Huge difference. So. It keeps you on your toes, but at the same time, even though there's a huge difference, people, and that's why I say stand-up is more of an American thing, people are more, you will get a super liberal person to laugh if the joke is funny enough at a conservative joke, and vice versa. Whereas I feel like in Canada, they're a bit more, every other country is a little bit more serious than the United States, except for maybe Italy. Is a little bit more serious, takes themselves a little bit more seriously than the States.
And which is funny because, like, if you looked at our social media, you would think that we took ourselves extremely
and we do.
seriously.
I mean those, but we do, I guess. But people are different when they're on the internet. That's not who you are. You writing those things, it's like that's not you. A lot of these people that write those things are quiet in real life, and they don't really interact with people. And
I mean, like, but that's also the kind of like the issue in regards to, like, I'm finding that, and maybe this is a little bit off tangent from international, but I think it's just in regards to just different parts of society. Gen Zs, I think, are very difficult to perform to, because they're so used to being insular within themselves and only being free and open in an online space.
Yeah. Well, they're also kind of like Gen Z, and I can't even, I mean, I have like nieces and nephews. First of all, most of Gen Z humor is just them making fun of other people's humor. That's like their humor. They make fun of millennial humor or boomer humor. That's like their thing. It's like, yeah, but what is your humor? You don't have, they're just kind of like critics. They don't really have, but who are you?
Actually, I've never even thought about that before, because, like, I'm literally thinking about, like, TikTok Reels or Facebook Reels, and a lot of the times it's like Instagram Reels. It's like boomer at the office, or like or like when your millennial aunt comes to visit, or it's like, and it's no, you're right. But I feel like every generation that was in that kind of that 18 to 30-year-old range, like whenever we were in that range, we didn't have this platform to do that, but we probably felt the same way about, you know.
Not real. I mean, yes and no. I didn't really know any millennials making fun of Gen X humor. It just wasn't.
Yeah, I
You
guess
know
you're
what I
right. I
mean?
guess you're right.
It wasn't. It just wasn't
No,
a thing. You know, and
no.
yeah. So and also, I don't know. Gen Z is all about I don't know. They kind of lean. They're a bit of a mess.
I
They're a
find
bit
them
of a mess. But
difficult to
also
play
there's
too
a
because also speaking of, cultural differences, I think generationally there's cultural differences too, because like Gen Zs are not programmed to laugh out loud.
yeah. Well, they're not even programmed to speak out loud. They
Yeah.
can't even speak. Their enunciation is bad.
Yeah.
Whenever I speak to my nieces and my nephews, it's like, with the exception of maybe one, it's like they can't enunciate.
Yeah.
It's like they sound bad. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, you guys are just not used to speaking. You're not used to it. It's all just writing on the phone and stuff like that, you know?
Well, think about this. Gen Zs finished their academic career online before they
Yeah.
entered the workforce. They literally spent their last years of adolescence on a
Yeah.
computer away from people. And that's definitely got to affect you.
Every new generation is having less of a human experience than the generation before. Because the human experience, you're meant to be doing things. Where now everything is streaming. You don't have to go to the movies or rent anything. Everything is delivering. You don't have to go to the store. Everything is AI. You don't have to work. Now you work from home. So we're just going to be sitting here on the couch and everything is done for you. It's like you don't exist. You know?
But I mean, that's a whole thing in regards to like, just kind of the future of comedy and
Yeah.
what is comedy when there is no original thought, original voice anymore, because everything is generative, derivative of something else because it's being artificially created. And that's a fear of mine. We joke about the influencers, but at least they're real human beings. We're going to get to a
Yeah.
point 5 years from now where those are all just deep fakes. Those aren't real people.
Oh yeah, I mean we're already there, and yeah, you'll never. I mean, already you want to talk about being creative already because of the ease of technology and the phone. More specifically, the phone is like cigarettes. The phone is like a lot of this content that people watch. They don't even watch it because the content is good. They watch it because the apparatus they're watching it on is addictive.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really like, man, I really just love watching this guy eat a sandwich. It's
I know.
not. They're just watching. It's like I'm just on the phone mindlessly, scrolling. But so with the convenience of it, like when I'm driving in the car, I listen to a podcast. Then when I'm cleaning my place, I put on another podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Then I listen to music when I'm at the gym. You are not having any thoughts. You're just consuming some thoughts of something else.
Yeah.
It's like you're supposed to kind of be. Now I've been trying to drive in silence.
Oh Jesus, this is the hardest thing to do in the world. I can't do it.
I've been trying to do it because I'm like, well, this is the whole point. You're supposed to be doing your own thinking, your own creating, your own, you know what I mean? How else are you going to break new ground?
My girlfriend, she, like, when she gets in the car, I'm like, you want me to put anything on? She's like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, what about some music? She's like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, you just want to sit here? I'm like, we're driving to Palm Desert. That's a 2.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not fucking doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not just sitting here in silence with you.
Yeah.
While you sleep. I'm sorry. Like, we're not doing that. If you're listening or watching that, I love you, but no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
But yeah, we're kind of giving away our own capability of having original thought by consuming as much as we're consuming.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that I feel, is a benefit to anybody out there who's, pursuing creative, projects, is that it keeps your mind fresh and it keeps you forced to keep creating. And like, don't go out there. This is, advice for anybody out there is like, don't go out there and trying to produce what the world wants. Try to produce something that you feel you need to share, you want to share, because when you get stuck in that, then all you're doing is just catering to an algorithm, and you're maybe, I don't know, man. It's like, it's one of the reasons why I went back to acting. I got a little disenfranchised with stand-up comedy, and I really missed acting because of the whole point, the whole thing about acting is it allowed me to live truthfully and live these experiences truthfully in these imaginary circumstances, and just, you know, dig into places of myself, which is a cool thing about stand-up too. I just feel like a lot of stand-ups out there have lost that reasoning, and it's all about getting clips. It's all about getting clips.
Yeah. It's lame.
It is, and it sucks, I know, because it's like, you know, you need to feed the machine in order to be able to keep feeding yourself.
Well, it's the pyramid scheme that we all got roped
Yeah.
into. We're making content for free
Yeah.
for these billion-dollar companies with some vague promise that, but you might be able to monetize
Exactly.
the native audience that we give you. It's
Exactly.
like, maybe.
Yeah.
You know? And then
Exactly.
everybody's doing it, and because everybody's doing it, then you kind of have to do it because everybody's doing it. Like, well, if I don't do it, I don't exist. You know, no one's gonna know who you are. You're not gonna, you know. I would love to just not even be on these things. But if
Me
you're
too.
a comic and you don't have social media, it's like you literally don't exist. All my bookings come from people sending me messages on Instagram or whatever, you know.
And the thing is that, like, you know, I'm finding it very difficult because it's like I've gone back into acting, and I'm getting now these comments. It's like, yeah, but your social media following, you're just not really putting a lot of time into your social media. I'm like, because I'm fucking auditioning. What do you want from me? I'm fucking working on this craft. This takes time. Do you know how long a self-tape takes? 17 hours. It takes 17 hours to do one self-tape. That's doing an hour that you just sent me. And if you're possible, if you can do this in a wide shot too, also a medium, and if you could zoom out too. By the way, you can't use a reading app. Can you get like a real person to come over? And we need it in the next 30 minutes.
We need somebody else's free labor, not just your free labor, somebody else's too.
Dude, I'm not kidding you when I say that, like, I feel that, you know, like, I feel like I spend probably 4 times as much time on a self-tape as I do on an audition in person. I walk in.
The audition in person, you just go and it is what it is, and that's it.
I go in and it is what it is. And guess what? My booking rate is better off the audition in person than off the self-tape.
Well, because in person, first of all, they have to watch you. You're there in front of their face.
Yeah.
How many self-tape, you know, is like the Tinder of auditioning. It's like they're just probably like scrolling through it, like, no, not that one. They don't even want, like, imagine like you're watching auditions on your phone between TikToks and Instagram reels and your email. It's like, it doesn't seem important. Whereas when somebody's coming into your office and you called them for an appointment, you give it that seriousness and you do your job of like, okay, let me direct them this way. And it matters to you. This person matters to you. You know, the person on your phone doesn't matter to you.
It's a really, that's a really good point. I mean, I feel about it the same way as like festival submission type of thing. It's like I'm throwing this into the ether and I have no idea if anyone watched it. And honestly, I think that SAG-AFTRA should set up some sort of thing in the next in our, well, I mean, God knows what could happen with the next deal.
I don't think the union is not there for that. They're just not. They would have done it. You know, they would have set up their own thing, their own EcoCast.
Yeah.
That tells them. I remember in the strike, one of the terms they wanted was was to say like we want a play count to see if somebody watched it, and they turned it down. Why would you turn that down? Why would they say no to that?
Yeah,
because they're not watching the thing. I want to take it a step further. If I'm sending you a tape, I want you to send me a tape, which is a tape of you watching my tape.
I got a message recently, and it said, and it was from somebody, you know, that was sharing a tip that they had gotten from an industry representative. And they said, hey, you know, I know there was a huge outage on Monday. For those of you guys who are listening to this later, we're taping this a couple days after the AWS outage, which affected breakdown services, which is the essentially the lifeblood of the entertainment industry. And they went
broke down.
They said, this is why it's important to get your tapes in as soon as possible, because you never know when there could be a service issue. And I'm like, that's insane. Do you realize how insane that is?
Yeah.
Like, because this is one of those things too, where it's like, you get it in as soon as possible. Do you want it to be good, or do you want it just to be there?
That we're in a post-good society. Because look, your acting doesn't have to. They're not like, no, we just want it fast. The same thing with social media. How many times have people given the advice like, don't worry about posting anything good, just post it? And people always have these stories like the worst thing I ever did went viral.
Yeah.
It's like we're just in a post good work society.
It's so weird because the thing is also, I think that we're also from that generation where industry was telling us that we had to, production value mattered, content mattered, all of that. And now it's the opposite. It's very, very weird because it's like, it was like when we were doing all the stuff on
Well,
YouTube,
because
like
from
the
their
big industry
point of-
message was like, oh, you got to make sure the production value looks professional.
Yeah, we had a little bit of time for that, but now it's like the depressing thing is if you're auditioning for some random show that's on like Apple TV, they know nobody's watching it. It's just money laundering for Apple. Like this guy, you know, the actor doesn't have to be good. Nobody's seeing this shit. We got quotas to fill for ethnicities and genders, and we're just putting, as long as you're not awful, we get the tape, and I'm in a good mood when I see your face pop up on the screen. Like I'm not full or anything like that. And we'll give the, you know what I mean? That's kind of the era we're in.
It is actually really funny about that because I was just thinking about that. Like we're at the point now where there's such a saturation that I could just make up credits and send them to people and they would believe these are real shows. They wouldn't they wouldn't even research it. They would just assume
like IMDb is still kind of, you know.
Are they going to put that kind of time in? Like really?
I don't know. I honestly even feel like IMDb, if you want it, you can go like, yeah, I was in Criminal Minds, and
they won't even do it. In fact.
And nobody would.
It's some bot. It's some bot. It's some bot code that's doing it anyway. It's not a real person that's.
No, I think it is.
It is a real person. Okay.
Still two people. Yeah, doing it. But they're not checking. But they're not going to watch all Criminal Minds to check.
Yeah.
It would have to be the people that are doing the people who show that. So you could probably get away with a little bit.
You know what's insane is like I went on my IMDb not that long ago and I was like trying to clean up my resume and like I found a bunch of credits that I completely forgot I even did, and they were like listed under like another Michael Magid, or you know they created a new Michael Magid profile because they were never linked. They were never linked. So I just went in there and like they're like, "Is this you?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is fucking me. I should have this on here." I'm like, wait, this thing was sold to Discovery? When did that happen? Now I'm definitely putting this on here. I thought it was just some shitty, you know, like pilot presentation. Now it's real. Okay, I'll put that up there now. Wow, we've really gone off the tilt of international comedy. So we'll start wrapping up here because I know you got other things to do with your day, Rishi. But I appreciate you taking the time. I want to ask you. Are there any moments from the Comedy English show at HI Santa Monica that really resonated with you that were either really fun experiences or such nightmares that you have to share?
I never had I've seen other people have you know nightmare experiences because you don't know what you're getting into. But I was lucky enough that before I did the shows in Santa Monica, I had done the hostel shows in New York a ton of times. So I was always very I mean, there's a lot of jokes of mine I couldn't tell, and I knew I couldn't tell. So sometimes there was that kind of like, all right, I'll do this one again that I know, you know, these people would resonate with or do the crowd work there. But no, I mean, as far as I wish I kind of had a nightmare experience, or I never did. It was always you know, I loved meeting those people. You know, you're talking to people on vacation, you know, so they were always mostly pretty relaxed and happy and friendly and nice. And, you know, as far as things that stood out, yeah, I get, you know what it is? It's funny because the more, even though you had a big diverse audience, people from different countries, these moments would always happen where somebody says something about their country and their rival country is also in the room and they have you know what I mean? Like pointing out those and always seeing that comedy happen.
Like sports club conflict, basically.
Yeah, basically things like that.
Not like geopolitical conflict.
No, I mean, I'm sure it could happen. That could happen too. You know, I'm sure that did happen as well, but people didn't take it too seriously in that room. But, you know, I always enjoyed that because you wouldn't have that anywhere else. You would only have that there.
I mean, you know, I do remember there have been some times where somebody did not want to mention where they were from because at that time that country was not being looked well upon.
Right.
You know, whether they were in a current war situation where they were committing war crimes,
Right.
maybe, you know, something negative had happened recently with somebody from that group, you know, from that country in the United States. So like, you have to be wary of those types of things and just kind of, you know, be cognizant of, you know, people's feelings and making sure that people still feel comfortable and safe too, you know,
Of course. Yeah.
in the environment. But I think, you know, the one thing that I did always love about that room is that, like, no matter where you're from, like, we're all there for the same reason, to have a good time, to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
Not to yell at each other for our differences, but more to come together for, you know, our similarities. And you know, that's one of the things that I love about, you know, but love about comedy and you know, and collaboration in general. And I don't want to end this on a negative tip, but that was the original intent of social media, was collaboration and
Right.
sharing
Yeah.
similarities and experiences more so than sharing our differences. And I don't know where it pivoted, but it's very scary. We are living in the alternate timeline, and it's really uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
you
I
know.
think it was COVID when people were just on the internet so much more. And now people just argue for sport. Like, there's people that are just trolled, that their whole thing is that they're an internet troll.
It's
You will
insane.
never not get these comments of people just hating on you, and it's a faceless profile with a name that's not real, with no followers and all. I was like, oh wow, so you're just going around doing this. That's your human existence.
Without a fault, literally Daniel Day-Lewis could post a scene from an
Yeah.
Oscar-winning performance, and someone will be like,
Yeah. Like,
"Hack."
well, at least you tried, asshole.
Yeah.
You know, like something like that.
Yeah. Like, don't believe it. Don't buy it.
Honestly, at this point, and maybe it's easy for me to say because I am doing this anyway, but now I feel like we should acknowledge, like, hey guys, since literally everybody and their mother and grandmother is on the internet, we are now, there's going to be an internet government where basically you have to be posting your real name with your face, you know,
Yeah.
and it's traceable to you. So you're going and doing all these things, and we know it's you doing it, you know.
I think, I mean, I think you got onto a good point there. Like, I think that you should have to verify your identity
Yeah, at
in
this
order to be able
point,
to be
yeah.
on social media. I think that's a
Yeah, all this, like,
great
people
point.
are posting like porn in comments and people getting hit by trains and animal
Jesus.
cruelty and
I
like
don't know
that. And
I don't know what's in your feed. God,
that's
it's
mostly just X.
terrifying.
But my point is kind of like, would you be posting this if it was your dumb looking face and your name? I don't think so. You know.
Well, Rishi, as we start wrapping up right here, anything you got going on that you want to plug out there?
I mean, what is going? I mean, I'm doing a lot of shows. I'm doing Chatterbox this weekend. I'm doing another show Saturday. I'm doing another show Saturday. I don't even know where it is. I'm doing Koreatown Comedy on the 30th. I'm currently I'm going to be in this upcoming episode of 911 on ABC
Oh, congrats, man.
on Thursday. I was in last week. I'm in this week, Thursday at 8 p.m. And and I'm in LA. I'm doing a Christmas Carol. I'm doing a play,
Oh.
a Christmas Carol. I'm playing Jacob Marley.
Oh, wow.
And maybe people can come see that at the Hollywood and Gower.
That's very cool, dude.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do, you know, some more live theater recently. The auditions are few and far between for live theater in LA, so that's really cool, man.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's not like being in New York where, like, you can literally audition for live theater every day.
Yeah.
You know. Well, awesome, man. If people want to follow you, where's the best place?
I'm on Instagram at Rishi, RISHI_EH. So you can get me there.
Awesome, guys. And obviously you can follow us at Comedy in English on all social media platforms except for X, where it's Comedy, the letter N, English, because Comedy in English was already taken by a group in Berlin. You can follow me at Michael Magid on all social medias except for TikTok, where it's Michael Magid Comedy, because there's some other Michael Magid who already
All
took
right.
that, or I created an account years ago and forgot the password. I don't know.
About it, yeah.
It's probably one of those two things right over there, guys. Remember, Comedy in English every Wednesday, 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK. Streams over live on Comedy Hub and KO Comedy. Shout out to KO Comedy for everything they do for online comedy. If you want to donate, Venmo at Comedy in English, PayPal, Comedy in English bookings at Gmail, Cash App, money sign LA Goalkeeping Academy, which may or may not be my soccer coaching academy. And of course, you can also do it on Stripe through the credit card in the show notes. That's all the time on Comedy in English, and we are out. Later, guys.
Thanks, brother.